And I've always made it my goal to make it very clear to my students that you are not what they say you are. You are bigger and better than what they say you are. And when we go out and perform, that's the way we represent ourselves.
Yes.
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you. Today we have Colette Stevens as our guest. She is this month's guest on Music Un-Tuxed on our podcast. And thank you, Mark, for starting the recording. Yeah, this is our very first YouTube live stream, and we've been kind of a little bit, as usual, technically challenged, but somehow we got it through. We have Colette here, Mrs. Stevens, known by many of her students. So thank you for being here.
Yes, pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, and we had a great talk. It was the podcast that came out this month, music, and we were calling it "Music is Freedom."
Mhm.
And the talk was actually, I think it was about a year ago. And it's a little different than our usual Music Un-Tuxed podcasts in which they're Zoomed. I went into your office one day after probably helping with the strings, and we sat down and had a conversation, and that was for a class at Franklin Marshall College, social education or social justice, music education. And
Yes.
and that really, and then it seemed just a very good fit to have it open this Music in the Schools month, March, and have you be a part of that, have that interview. So,
Yes.
and if you could, Colette, if you could just tell us a little bit about your background. I know you say it in the podcast interview, but I want to elaborate because it is kind of a short interview. And today we have an expansive time. I know we don't have a lot of guests right now, but more people might join in, some more of your students, and who we have here will be able to really open up the question and answer stuff too.
Yeah, so welcome everyone who was able to join us. I'm Colette Stevens. I currently teach at McCaskey High School. I am one of three music teachers as a part of the music department. And there's many different courses offered in our department, but I am responsible for the orchestra program. I rehearse a strings group and also for orchestra, which involves our winds and brass and percussion students. I also teach IB music, both standard level and higher level. And that's a class where students can earn college credit for taking the class and passing it. And then I teach a guitar and piano lab course. They're semester courses. And I am the choral director for Voices of Freedom. It used to be known as McCaskey Gospel Choir. And in 2020, we changed the name of the choir and just to kind of broaden things out a little bit more and really reflect the style of music that we cover in that class. Do you want me to go into like where I'm from and how I got
Well,
here or just
I think we'll get there. I think we'll get there, but yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
sure.
you have a great background and very interesting, fascinating where you're at right now in Lancaster County, and you've been here
Mhm.
for quite some time.
Yes, 29 years.
29 years. You got to be
Hmm.
kidding.
Yes.
And you started off at Price Elementary School.
I started at Price. I taught there for 10 years.
Hmm.
And I was very fortunate to be able to land a job there because it was an arts infused type of school and structure with the curriculum. So
Hmm.
we had an arts team and we would host artists in residence, and we'd have like visual artists, authors, musicians, composers, you name it. We'd have them come in and work with our students and just had a great experience as a first year teacher. Very fortunate to start
Mm.
my career at Price.
And you came
Um,
from Philadelphia, right?
yes, I came
And
from Philadelphia, born and raised. On the playground is where I spent most of my days now.
yeah.
That's my homage to Will Smith.
Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah, I grew up in Philadelphia. I was just really great neighborhood I grew up in. The schools I went to, I started violin young. I started in fourth grade, like most students would in the public school system. And then it just took off from there. I studied private lessons in a community music program at Temple University,
Mhm.
and did that from sixth through 12th grade and then ended up going to arts magnet school, middle school for students. And I picked up the flute, and I had an African American strings teacher there, Miss Jones. She was a little scary, but she had a big heart, and I'm so glad I had her as a model growing up. And then went to Central High School, which was a competitive high school to get into. And I was fortunate to be able to go there and study. And I was in orchestra there with Mr. Walensky, who I had kept in contact with all through my teaching career,
Mm.
just to let him know his student was still doing well and following in his footsteps. So yeah, I had some really great influences coming up through the Philadelphia school system.
That's so great to keep in touch with your teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So now
Mm-hmm.
you've been a teacher for 29 years,
Uh-huh.
and you stay in touch with your students?
They get in touch with me. Like,
They do.
yes. And the answer is yes. Yes.
Hmm.
I hear from them. I just saw a few of my students who just graduated at our IB recital. It's so wonderful when they come back
Hmm.
and they still stay connected. And I always ask them, so what is it like to like now be the observer? You're not up on stage now, you're watching those who are following you, who you've made an influence on, come back and, to see all of that. So it's great to keep it. I hear from them years later sometimes, oh, I missed that class. They realize how much it meant to their time at McCaskey. And, you always miss it when it's gone, right?
Yes. Well, actually,
Yeah.
when I left, I didn't miss it for a while, but
Well,
but,
yeah, because you want to get out.
you want to get out, but then I have to say every time I come back and help, your program that you have at McCaskey is incredible. And when I see the glow and vibrancy in your face and just aura, even right now when you're talking about the students.
Mm-hmm.
After 29 years of teaching, I'm sorry that I keep bringing that up, but you have a vibrancy and a glow about you, and I'm sure it has not been easy.
No,
Yeah.
not all students are, but there's very few who aren't. And
Uh-huh.
the ones who aren't, I mean, there's still love in them. It's coming from somewhere. And I
Yes.
have to remember that it's not about me. But all I can do is just be there to be a consistent source of support and establish my climate and culture in my room and make sure that whatever they're experiencing that gets supported while not threatening the positive climate and culture of our classroom.
Mm.
So yeah, of course, some of them have to get a little shaped,
Uh-huh.
chiseled.
Yeah.
But I mean, they are bringing something interesting to the space too. So it's a challenge for me, but it's nothing I can't help them with.
Yeah. And when you mentioned the climate and culture of the classroom, we talked about how the uniqueness of Lancaster and the opportunities and the challenges that arise because I think you brought up about how the fact that you're the only African American orchestra director in Lancaster County and
Well,
or high
I
school.
believe, well, I would say Lancaster, Lebanon, and I'm basing that on when the orchestra directors come together
Mhm.
collectively.
Yeah,
And I love my colleagues. They are so wonderful.
right.
Anytime we get together at festivals, like county festival, or even when we see each other at district, we have a really good camaraderie and unit, and
Mhm.
I'm very fortunate. But I mean, I am the one.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And sometimes I don't realize it because we really click, and I enjoy my time with them. And I don't realize it until we get together and I'm like, oh man, it's just nice to get together with people who share that common experience.
Mhm.
And sometimes you can feel like you're on an island since in each school we're the only ones who direct the orchestra. So to come together with other orchestra directors and share our stories and what's going on, and structurally or systematically what's going on and what we're experiencing.
Mhm.
But then, when I look at it, yes, I am. I am
Mhm.
the only African American.
And also the demographics of the different school districts. I mean,
Yes.
McCaskey, the school district of Lancaster, is so much different. It is, like you mentioned, an island. It is kind
Mm-hmm.
of an island unto itself, comparatively
Mm-hmm.
speaking to the other districts. And actually, that's why I thought it would be good to do that interview with the class of students that I have at Franklin and Marshall College. So I thought it'd be, and they will be coming in to help in their field study work
Mm-hmm.
through that class with an organization that you're also a part of. I wanted to throw that out there too because I'm thrilled that you're a board member of the organization that I've worked with over the past 15 years, and now you're a board member with Music for Everyone.
Yes. I love the team. The heart of the organization. It just speaks to what I'm about, music and how powerful it is
Mhm.
and what it can do to bring others together, no matter what your background is, no matter what your beliefs are. Music is a common just thread that we can share. And it is, my mom used to always say that she would say something like that to me, just to show me that what I was doing was valuable. And I believe this music is very valuable.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, we have someone on the call that has been pretty active in the chat. And so I want to
Okay.
maybe get and she actually mentions that you're the only black teacher in Lampeter Strasburg School District for the first 5 years, and
Mm-hmm.
also received a grant from Music for Everyone back in the back in the day. So I just thought maybe Jen, I don't know if you know each other. Do you know?
I know. I
No.
can't believe we don't know each other, to be honest. But everything you're saying, I'm like laughing because I was like, we've had to be at PMEA together. But because they split us up, ACDA and PMEA, we probably never ran into each other. But I grew up in Lancaster County, and I taught at Penn Manor, where I graduated my first year out of college from Millersville, and then moved to Lampeter Strasburg, which was it was the same to me as Penn Manor because I grew up in this culture and community. But then I moved to New York City in 2009, and that was culture shock, which is interesting. But the McCaskey Orchestra and programs have been excellent for a very long time. So it's nice to meet you and have face with a community, and also nice to support Music for Everyone, because back in 2009 they changed my life, and
Hooked you
many
up.
students. Yeah, they pretty much did, and they did the big check and everything, and those students still talk about it. And we commissioned a piece by Michael Story, which is one of the world-renowned beginner band programs, and it's now a pretty famous piece in the band literature, and many NYSSMA manuals or different honor bands. So when I got to New York 15 years ago, which is crazy, 'cause I was like, what year did you start? If you've been teaching for 29 years, because I'm like 24, and I'm like trying to do the math, Colette. I was like, okay. But yeah, so I love doing the chat. I'm always in the chat, don't mind me, but
Okay.
the goal is to
Well,
the goal is to go to the gym, so I won't be on the whole call, but
well, I
Yeah, go get
appreciate
that
you joining
workout
us.
in.
10 a.m., 2 p.m. Okay, I told my friend, she's right here with me. We're doing the 6 o'clock, but I wanted to jump on to see and meet you. And I heard great things about you, so
Oh,
we
thank
meet.
you.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, wow. So there's it's incredible how many common bonds there are. And I just also wanted to, you meant go back to that culture of the classroom thing, because you were talking on our podcast about the repertoire and stuff,
Mhm.
and like some of these
Yes.
festivals. And I actually just got back from the ASTA conference, American String Teachers
Mhm.
Association conference in Atlanta, and which is a very organization, I believe, that for many years has been very Eurocentric,
Mhm.
and they've been pushing more and more, having jazz elements and more Afrocentric qualities of the music being presented, and Latino music and all sorts of things. And this year they actually had a big presentation about that. But I wanted to know about how you expand the culture of your classroom um, experience for the kids, knowing that they the demographics of your community is much different than what has been established by the, let's say
Right.
the EMEA,
Right.
the repertoire list that we are supposed to be doing.
Well, first, I think it's great that organizations are starting to push in that direction.
Mhm.
And I hope that it really wraps our students into wanting to pursue careers in music because of that, to see that they are who they are and their background is represented in the music that they one day will teach. Um, for me, I'm thinking about I'm thinking about three of my classes because I just think we still have a lot of work to do in our department, to also like choose music that's a good reflection of who we teach. We still have some work to do. Um, I feel like there are some classes where it's destined to happen, like Voices of Freedom. Voices of Freedom in the syllabus, it says that students are learning music from Black culture,
Mhm.
you know? And while the group is not predominantly Black, um, I've noticed over the years it's really shifted and changed. It's not, that core of church kids that are a part of it and then everybody else. Now it's just everybody else. And I think it's great because there are students coming into that class that don't necessarily have a good background in that style of music, but they want to, and they want to learn that style of singing. So that class is a little bit more specific in the syllabus as far as, or the course description as to what we are going to study, because it specifically targets music from Africa. spirituals, Black gospel, R&B, jazz, you name it, anything rooted in African and African American.
Mhm.
So that's very specific. That doesn't mean we don't sing other things outside of that, but that's the main focus. IB music is definitely diverse. IB had changed its curriculum, so it's much more inclusive, and the students have choice. And as you were asking me about the culture, I think that's a big part of it, is that there's something democratic about the curriculum where the students have choice.
Mm.
And with that personal element involved, it's inevitable that they're going to be studying something that they're close to, while at the same time expecting them to branch out and go global or local. And that's the language of IB.
Mm.
So all three of those contexts are included in their learning or through their product whatever they're working on. So that I think is important, that personal piece. And I've taught IB now for probably, since 2019. And the change in the curriculum kind of occurred in 2020. And I've noticed that because of that, I'm starting to wrap my head around that when picking music myself for orchestra and looking at what we teach in piano and guitar lab. Like, is this involving a personal, local, or global context for these students? So even in guitar and piano, they have choice. They can choose what they want to try to work on. One of the assignments is that they choose pieces that they want to play for us, even if it's a portion of it. So I think that idea of choice is huge. With orchestra this year, I should say last year, students knowing they were going to be in orchestra this year, for this spring, they asked if we could do a program around movie themes. And so I was like, hey, yeah, sure.
That's great.
So it's keeping that choice in there, that personal connection. And the result of the engagement is huge when we do that. So myself being intentional about wrapping in music from different cultures, different areas of the world, or close to the students, challenging and charging myself to make sure when I'm picking music, it's not just about me. It's about all of us collectively working together to produce this art. And I want them to be just as engaged with it, while still as their instructor, challenging and pushing them and engaging them with something maybe they wouldn't pick, but still wrapping that choice.
Wow. And as a teacher talking to someone else who's a teacher, you're hitting a lot of nerves, because I know that's something I grapple with. Sometimes I'm very selfish in my own teaching and I over the years, but what you just said is so powerful. And I know another guest on this here is Crystal Folkstad, and she's mentioning in the chat she has a vivid memory of the first time she had a piano teacher give her a choice in repertoire. And Crystal's actually going to be another guest in Music Un-Tuxed this year. There she is. Hello, Crystal.
Hi.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever met. Have you met each other?
No,
No?
no.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is great. Bring
I
it
just don't get
together.
out much.
Well, you really don't have much time. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's nice to meet you, Crystal.
Good to meet you.
And Crystal's a composer.
Awesome. Well, what medium do you compose? What
I've
ensemble?
written a bunch of stuff for the Music for Everyone camps,
Okay.
but mostly chamber music, voice choir.
Okay. Awesome. Well, let's connect. Maybe we got something for the choir.
All right.
I think that would
I'm
be
willing
very
to
cool.
listen. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're going to have Crystal appear later in the season on Music On Touch. So that'll be exciting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't even plant it this way. It just this is the organic nature of my life. So I love
Yes,
this.
it's
Um,
good.
I was in that ASTA conference. The one guy that who will be also another guest, actually next month's guest, is this guy Tracy Silverman, and
Okay, yeah.
he just came to a local high school, Hempfield, got high school to do some of his special strumbowing, and he has a Groove On Academy. And here he went to Juilliard, studied with Galamian, like off the charts violin guy. But then he thought, the future of strings is going to fizzle eventually if we don't give people their choice. He wanted to have, rather than having kids just learn their gavottes and stuff, learn stuff that they want to learn, and maybe learn the same kind of technical prowess and connection with,
Mm-hmm.
like what you're saying. You
Right. Or
can,
no, not to discount, what's involved in technically and being able to play pieces that
right.
are from a choice. And I think sometimes we as educators, we downplay those
I like
things
how
and
you said that. Say
devalue
that again.
them.
Educated. I know that's the danger.
Educated.
Yeah.
and maybe this because we're uncomfortable with it and it's not speaking our language. So then we just shy away from it. But, we can grow and learn from our students too.
We can grow and learn from our students too. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I even didn't, Mr. Suzuki, I think he'd always say at the end of the lessons, not that I don't know too much about it, but I heard from other Suzuki professors, and they'd say, "Thank you for teaching me." The teacher will say that to the student,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
it
we
really
learn
is.
from them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, so I, so I want to hear a little bit more about and if you'd like to go into this part of the conversation, some of so you mentioned the opportunities and the challenges of teaching and the uniqueness of Lancaster.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah, I would say I know we talked about when we talked before in our interview. I talked about like my experience with going to festivals and um, just feeling uncomfortable, and it could be for many different reasons, but um, just feeling out of just not in my element.
Mhm.
And I don't know when I realized it. You just kind of go through the motions. We do that for the students. The students want to audition. We help them get registered and, just sitting in the room, like at a district festival, for example. And, while I wasn't the only African American, there were two other gentlemen I've never seen. And sometimes it's so funny because you really pick each other out when you're in the minority. It's like, oh wait, look, there's one over there. But it just felt like just disconnected, uncomfortable. I don't know. And it could have been all just me. But I feel like everybody's just driving to do the job and go through the motions. And not that I need somebody to come over and coddle me and say, "Hey, Colette, how are you doing? I know you're the only one here," But
How would you
um,
feel about that if someone did come over
oh,
and
I
say
don't know.
that? Yeah, that's what.
I don't need that. But just I don't know. It's just I think I said in the interview, the orchestra is its own culture.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
sometimes it can feel
I'm
like
shaking my head at that. Ooh,
it's not as welcoming,
I know.
um, unless you're coming with a certain kind of background or, um, you know, just it just seems like I just felt disconnected, and it may be because I'm not from this area originally, um, and just getting used to the nature of a district like structure and setup and the rules and parameters and they're all white men kind of sitting up there at the table,
Right.
um, leading us. And so, yeah, you just kind of feel intimidated, and just not that strong sense of belonging,
Yeah.
in the room. But yeah, it's just, and I think about some of our students of color, like how would they feel? What prevents them from being a part of a festival like that? You
Mhm.
know, is it the skill set, training or whatever? Is it, this type of music that's being selected is just too highbrow for them? I don't know, but it's its own world. I'll just say that.
It is. Yeah, the orchestra culture. So the idea of what you can put out in the Voices of Freedom class is one thing, and the choices
Mm-hmm.
that you have there seem a lot more broad and
Mm-hmm.
available, and whereas the orchestra culture is deeply rooted.
Mm-hmm.
And for you as an African American woman in Lancaster, not from Lancaster, I can imagine how uncomfortable you feel. And here
Mm-hmm.
I am, and now this might be a bit of a white supremacy culture characteristic coming out because I'm doing this comparison thing. But I have to say, I'm a white male. I got some pedigree, and I'm from Lancaster, and
And you,
I feel pretty uncomfortable.
you're cut from a different cloth, Michael.
I
I don't,
know
I
it's
don't, yeah. Yeah, I've never felt like that with you. You just always have been so open and just yourself,
hmm,
and always made me feel comfortable and part of the team. And more, you come with a servant's heart. Like
hmm,
you're ready to serve. You're ready. I feel like you may have gone through some stages yourself where you came through this epiphany, like, yeah, it's so much bigger than this, for these kids. And I see that in your work. And I think you do a really good job of wrapping kids in, creating that familial like environment and making them feel like they're a part of something and enjoy what they're doing and still let's just love playing and love music. And I think you need to start helping us chip away at some of the hard shell that we have all around us educators, to loosen up a little bit, be a
well,
little bit more free with the
I
way we
certainly feel
teach.
like my shell is awfully soft sometimes and can get easily poked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I've been,
Hmm.
because I think one thing that you also brought out was how music, like, I think it came out in our conversation, and I thought, wait, what are we talking about here? It didn't quite make sense. I had to rewind it, and but it was about how music, we've had all these barriers erected
Hmm.
around music. And
Hmm.
wow, music though should really be that thing that is truly the thing that enables us to be as vulnerable as we possibly want to be, because it's
Yes.
that vibration that we're going from people to people, from earth to spirit to, it's just everything. Yeah,
Yes. But
so
we put these standards in
we
place,
do. Yes.
and then that makes everyone feel uncomfortable or
Yeah.
they're not good enough. When I think for me, teaching is for the last few years I've been teaching, it's just like, this is so much big. Sometimes to me, it's bigger than music. Like music is definitely a tool, but just being a good person and being a good model for my kids, um,
Mhm.
it's like the teaching allows me to model that to my students. To
Yeah.
be a great person to whoever you can. And no, you're not gonna like everybody, but how can I be my best self?
Mhm.
And I get to teach music, and I get to have these experiences, these ensemble experiences with my kids. I get to perform with them and create memories with them and leave a lasting impact on them. I get to do that. So what you said about me earlier about looking vivid and like, that's what it is.
Mhm.
It's because I still, after all these years, am grateful that I get to have these experiences with other people,
Mhm.
and that's a gift.
Mhm.
And music is a big part of that. It just pulls us all together. It's a tool that we're using to have these experiences.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a tool to pull us all together.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I know on the chat, before we go further, thank you, Jennifer, for being here today. She put on her chat that she wants to stay connected.
Yeah, I would love to stay
Mhm.
connected. I put my information in this chat. Like this is like right
Okay.
where down my alley. Like I did uh something at NAFME about not NAFME, one of the conferences about the unique experience of Black women band directors.
Mm.
And right now, my friend and I have done a lot with Title I and why students or student teachers and younger teachers should consider going into city schools, and it's bigger than music. And it's like we're just using music as a vehicle to reach the
Mhm.
young people. But I really resonate, Colette, with everything you're saying. And Crystal, I would love to talk and meet with you. Composing is not my forte, but I could help you compose a piece for middle school band because I do know the ranges. But I'm excited to hopefully connect with the both of you. And Michael, I texted my niece and nephew and said, okay, April, I'm going to be in town.
All
We're going to
right.
be celebrating. I got,
Yeah.
So take care, everyone. And thank you so much, Michael, for inviting me on this
Yeah.
call.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
All right, take
Nice
care,
to
guys.
meet you again.
Nice to meet you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. I feel like this is bringing a family together, creating family here through this conversation. And it's up to, you have that magic about you, Colette. And I have to ask you, I know you're vibrant, you're vivid. Here you are today on a Sunday evening. I know you want to go off and get ready to cook dinner for your family. And again, tomorrow you're right at it. I
Mhm.
can text you at 6:40 in the morning and you're going to get back to me at 6:45, amazingly enough. But little did you know that I sent that text the night before and I'm still in bed or something like that. I don't go to bed until 6 sometimes after practicing. I have weird schedules. But how do you stay at the end of the day? um, how do you stay within yourself? Because you're teaching at a public school, not
Mhm.
that private school is any different, but I'm saying you're teaching at a city school. You have
Mhm.
a lot, not, I mean, the students are wonderful, yes,
Mhm.
but you're dealing with a lot of stuff too.
Mhm.
That you're dealing with other teachers, you're dealing with, the bureaucracy of the
Mhm.
education system and
Mhm.
things like that. And every day you go back to it and
Mhm.
and you're productive.
Mhm.
You make
I've
a
never
difference.
felt like I have to say, and I know that I have colleagues who have felt this. I've never felt by like threatened as far as feeling like I was going to lose my program or my job. If I did, it was something I was putting in my own head. And sometimes teachers will go to school and they'll get another degree as a backup in case the music education thing doesn't work out. And I did that, but I generally had a love for working with other teachers.
Mhm.
Um, but I've really been fortunate. Like I said, just going to Price and going to an arts infused school there to start my career, and then being at McCaskey and the thriving music program is so strong. Being a part of that team, I have a wonderful team now. And one of the things I need to function is I need to work with people who I know I can collaborate with. Where we're not trying to we're not cutthroat and trying to outdo one another. And I always feel like the way that the schedule is structured, we support each other's programs. We share students. So I've always felt like I'm really in good hands at the schools that I've been in. My principal, Dr. Reese, he is so wonderful. And
Mhm.
again, like we talked about earlier, giving students choice. That is the kind of leadership that he offers us as teachers.
Mhm.
Um, he's trusts us. I feel trusted. You know, I feel like he knows. We know we're close to what we're doing, and our heart is to do well. And I feel like he shows that in the way that he leads us.
Mhm.
And then I also think that our supervisor, Mike Schlechter, he too, he was a music teacher at one point, and now he's our supervisor. And he's just, again, just genuine care and servant's heart to help us do our jobs,
Mhm.
and do what we can and do the best we can for our students. So I've been really fortunate as far as leadership is concerned. Yes, there's bureaucracy. You got to put the purchase order in. You only get so much to spend, da 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 da. But again, even with community organizations like Music for Everyone, we have been really fortunate that we've had to want for nothing. You know, we ask for it. We have LEF, you know, Lancaster Education Foundation. We have um, um, our superintendent has always, the superintendents I've been through have always been supportive. You know,
How
I've been
how
through
many
many
superintendents?
superintendents. Don't ask me
I
that.
won't,
I
okay,
can
I
probably
won't.
tell you like 13 or 16. I don't know. It's been crazy.
Yeah, that must be
I'll
some
tell you
job.
that later.
Ooh, that must be quite a
I know.
job. We won't even get into that.
But I think I just want to make sure that when my students are public, when they're out in front of the public, that I don't want anyone to question how I'm doing my job, because that's the evidence of how I'm doing my job.
Okay, so I want to ask a couple questions now. I know we're probably in the last 10 or 15 minutes here, but I want to have you, if possible, and I don't want you to compare, have to deal with, maybe just tell us a few stories, if possible, of some of the students that you have kept in touch with, and perhaps their experiences after McCaskey that have made you proud to be their teacher. And the other thing is, you were mentioning about how in your own music department, there's not like the comparative trying to outdo one another, which I totally, I feel the family in your department. Obviously I'm there every week and I love it. I love everyone working there. And it's really, it doesn't feel like work. When I go in there, I feel like, wow, everyone's just, it's floating along. We're having a good time. It's music time, really. So I feel that
It's
from all of
music
you.
time.
It's music time. I feel that from all of you. And you did mention one thing. Oh, one of the things that we talked about in the interview. So I want you to think about maybe some of the kids, the experiences afterwards that made you. And then you also have guest artists. Like you do embrace Music for Everyone artists coming in. You do embrace our guest artists. You have some of the symphony people coming in, the Lancaster Symphony and Millersville University and some other organizations that are providing whatever they can do and whatever. And you do have a protective element, like almost like a motherly element. Oh yeah, I saw it there. So if you could speak a little bit more on that, you alluded to that. I remember because when I remember the one conductor that was trying out for the position, I don't believe she ended up. I don't think she was a conductor. No, it was Michael. Yeah, the other one. But the one person and she came in to conduct as a guest conductor. It was part of, I don't know if it was part of the process of selection, but it may have been.
It was.
Was it? Okay. So, and I remember sitting in the back next to one of your students. I thought, well, I'll sit down too and play in the back of the section. Next to you.
I think I sat and played. Did I play too? I think I sat. I know. I remember it. I remember the experience.
It was quite an experience. It really was. But now you're protective of the students, and tell us just a little bit more about that.
Well, yeah, and it's really outside of my personality because I'm like a yes person, but I understand that part of my job is to protect my students and the program. And like everybody's going, I guess I smell opportunists.
Okay, got you.
If that makes sense. Like
it makes total
I don't
sense.
want my kids to be an opportunity for you because you just want to use them for something that you're doing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? What are you offering to these students? What are you giving to them? Because you're the adult, you're the professional, what are you offering? What are you giving back? Not how can I use them for my own art or what I'm doing or to promote myself? So I think I smell that on people. Like, I don't like that. I know it's a public school program, but I am protective and I've learned to say no over the years. Well, thank you.
And you're also,
sometimes it could be a little overwhelming. Because while we have all these beautiful opportunities for organizations to push in, we don't have to have them all push in, because we still have to do our jobs. And sometimes managing that is an added, not burden, but like just adds to the schedule of things to do, the list. So I am protective in that way. They don't have to have everything come into the program. It's okay. But I do want to create opportunities. And like, I trust you, you know, you say, oh, such and such is coming into town, you know, I'm like, yeah, sure, bring them in. You know, I trust your judgment.
And I trust your judgment to say no to me.
Yeah, and you've said that.
Yeah, I really do, because I know that this requires extra work. It may be, oh, I can just sit in the back of the room and watch, but it is extra work, and emotionally, it's a different kind of energy that you're putting out.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've had some experiences where I'm sitting back and I'm looking and I'm thinking, I don't see the kids connecting with this. You know, I don't always make the best call, but they've been few and far between.
Neither do I. I can remember a few.
Like, they're not connecting with this at all. You know, so I do my research. I look up the person, see what their experience is, you know, or, you know, what they're offering. And I just make sure, like, for example, I had a gentleman wanted to teach my kids in IB. He wanted to do a whole residency, and it was like $5,000. We'd fly him in from Vegas, and he would teach them how to use a tabletop looper. And I was like, and it just felt so pushed, you know, he just kept pushing. And I was like, no, never mind. We can learn on our own, or we'll find somebody local. Thank you.
Yeah.
You just have to know where to draw that line, you know.
You got to know where to draw the line. I think that.
But what else did you ask me about? You asked me about students who.
Oh, just some students, some stories.
Yeah. So so I'm gonna say this. I'm getting older, and so unless it's like immediate and it just happened, I can't remember anything anymore. But I can say that I've had students, they'll reach out to me or message me on like through Messenger, former students. And one particular student, it's usually what I said earlier, like, oh my goodness, I miss the choir, or I miss coming to class in the music department. Like, I didn't realize like how much that space in my day really meant, you know? And I've gotten several testimonials like that over the years, like after they've graduated. And then I have students who I feel they're still my babies, you know, like we still stay connected. Now they're getting married and, you know, having kids, and we're still like, we spend time together. If I have a cookout or something like that, we're still connected.
Yeah.
And it's like family, you know, it's like family. And it's just a blessing to have those relationships. Students who sang at my wedding, like, you know, things like that. And then Will Broadus, who I work with now, is a former student, and he's an African-American choral director, you know, and now he's my colleague, and I'm just thrilled. Like, I'm thrilled as a former teacher. I'm proud of him. And I'm thrilled because he's just a great human being. And I knew that when he was a student. And now I get to work with him. And I see it even more.
Oh my gosh.
It's so cool.
It's great to hear him warm that chorus up the way he does.
Oh, yes.
I love that.
And I'm learning still learning from him. And that's rewarding. That's rewarding. Yeah.
And you can learn from your former students like that, and they become your colleagues. Wow. That is, what a story on that.
Logan Santiago, like, she's teaching now, and she's teaching my son. It's so crazy. Like, it's so crazy.
And she teaches for us at Music for Everyone.
Yes.
And she was actually, when she was at McCaskey, she would come to Crispus Attucks to help with the initial lesson program that I started there. And so, and these are your students. Actually, I have a picture back there.
Yeah.
all these kids.
Yes.
The first group of
The first cohort.
first
Oh,
cohort.
those
Oh,
babies.
oh, I think you know her.
I think so. My Jada.
Yeah. Picture signed
Yes.
by Hillary Hahn.
Oh, wow. Yes.
I know, but you can't read her signature because it's in the black here.
Oh, but it's there. That's
It
all
is
that
there.
matters.
So I was told. Yeah.
Yes. So we definitely have, yes, it's ongoing.
Yeah.
And I'm planning to do an alumni concert with Voices of Freedom. And I'm only bringing this up because, um, like, I just think about the span of time I've taught this choir. And I used to teach with another director, Fatima. And we were like, it's almost like we have three segments of songs to choose from. The time when it was Irvin Scott, Dr. Irvin Scott was the director,
Mm-hmm.
the time when it was Fatima and I directing, and then when it was just me. So we have like these timelines that we're like, how are we going to pick music? Because now the spread of years is greater than the last time we did an alumni concert.
Mm-hmm.
But even that, it's like all those different generations. So now we're seeing families who've come through the choir.
Mm.
You know,
Yes.
it's just so cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool.
I think that's fantastic. So, oh, Crystal just put in the chat, when is the concert?
Voices
No.
of Freedom is in 2 weeks. It's April 12th. It's a Saturday night at 7 at J.P. McCaskey High School Auditorium. Yep.
Fantastic. But now
Yep.
that's not the alumni concert.
No, the alumni concert, we're starting
Yeah.
now to plan that for next year. And that'll be April 25th of 2026.
Okay. Very good. Yes. Well, that's wonderful. Well,
Mhm.
I told you I'd promised to keep this an hour-long show and no more. Because I know
That
I
went
have.
really fast.
Yeah. Well, are there any more questions from anyone here that we'd like to? We have a few minutes left, and anything that you'd like to share, opening it up.
And Crystal, you're welcome to come anytime if you have some time during the day. You want to check out what we're doing at McCaskey, please
Crystal's in
come.
Alabama. Is it Alabama right now? Yeah.
Oh, you're in Alabama. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay.
But once in a while, I mean, Crystal used to be at
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yes.
And I do have some of your music for a string quartet that I have it that she sent. And
Okay.
that we did for one of the summer camps I remember one of the COVID camps during the when we did it at McCaskey East. And they're challenging. So I think they'd be
Mm-hmm.
actually good for some of the more advanced players. Crystal doesn't mess around. I mean, she get yeah, it's true. Like some of the music is like, ooh, it gets, it's it's not, it really gets in there. It gets deep. So
Mm-hmm.
and then there's others that are very accessible.
Okay.
But some of it really requires a lot of chops and really a
Mm.
good ear uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so I did it with our MFE summer camps and sometimes I wish I had, more high school players working on
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah, I would say the skill set in our program is definitely a wide range. You
Yeah.
got anywhere from students who are just like, while they're older, they're still learning the music literacy is not there. So they're really relying heavily on their ears,
Mhm.
which is still a great thing. And then we have students who may study privately, a small percentage.
Mhm.
But most of our students, they have learned through coming through the school district. And like I said, that music literacy piece, we're still working on that with them and being able to read and understand, connecting what they hear to what they see on the page.
Mhm. And I would like to say one thing because you are all motherly and familial, but you do know how to lay it down too.
Oh, I know that's right. I'm sure people can see that. I'm reserving it right now.
And you know, the way you do it though is that kind of tough love sort of.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think they recognize that. But
Oh, my students know if they give me the eye roll and the attitude, they're gonna get it right back
yeah,
in a mature way. But
right,
it's even if it's just a look, they know.
yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's all in the spirit of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
service. That's what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Because I know when they leave me, I want to prepare them for when they leave me. When they leave McCaskey,
Mhm.
some of that stuff they're not going to be able to pull off, so they need to know now. I do them a disservice if I don't. So,
Right.
yes, motherly and also a teacher. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
not cool.
Right. Well, I am very grateful that you are in my life and that I
Oh,
get to see you every week
mm-hmm.
and go into the school and recognize just the wonderful work that you're doing. And
Yes,
we are very lucky to have you here in this community.
thank you. The Friday phrase is Jamanus is coming.
Jimenez is coming.
Jamanus is coming. And
I
then
like that.
that's
I should
like,
have a
it's
t-shirt.
like just a short phrase. And then they all, the circle of students who work with you, they scatter.
Well, that's
They know
funny.
what that means.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're having a really good time.
Yes, good.
I always look forward to it. It's a great group of kids, and it's certainly a different program than it was when I was there. And
Yes.
oh my gosh, there were two people in the orchestra, two
Ah,
people, two string players.
ah,
Me and this other guy played like this, and then a cello player who happened to be Susan Moyer, the person. So we knew how
mhm.
to play, but there weren't any other players. They didn't have that. I don't know what happened, but you know, now your orchestra is pretty incredible. And yes, there is such a wide range, and it seems to be getting maybe a little wider as you
Yes.
more. But and hopefully we'll be able to, you know, I think a lot of that may have been due to you know, the couple years of COVID too.
Yeah.
You know, it's something to work through, but at
Mhm.
least the kids are still engaged and they're
Yes.
loving the music from what I see. So just keep
Yes.
loving the music.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. And it
Yeah.
was good to have this time to chat. And you made it really easy to talk to and talk to you and everyone else who's listening.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your weekend and
Yeah.
just stay untuxed. Right?
Yes, sir. Stay
All right.
untouched.
Bye.
Bye.